Amrish, are we live?
Yes, sir. Facebook is live now.
Yeah, please go ahead on the Global
Global
Talent Chat.
Talent TV.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will share it in green. Ushaji, give me some time. I am sharing this into the groups.
Yes.
Give me some time. I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing in the groups. Ushaji, just give
Yes.
me some
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Ushaji, can we start?
Yes. Yes. We can.
Yes, now we are already live on the Facebook and on the Global Talent Television. And here I go. Yeah, good morning, USA, in Canada, good morning, good afternoon in Europe, England, Africa, good evening in Asia Pacific, Thailand, India, Malaysia, Singapore, neighboring countries, late good evening in Australia. And I have the honor of having with me very well known Dr. Usha Mujoo Munshi, Women of Excellence, to this one-to-one interaction on hashtag Women Power, a global movement, which is a mission taken in hand to have 1 million women on this platform by 2024 around the world, irrespective of color, creed, nationality, religion, and caste. Ushaji, I would like to welcome you to this hashtag
Thank you very much. Yeah.
global moment.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. It is indeed pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me to have discussions with you this evening here.
Thank you, Ushaji. In fact, a lot of people have already started joining. Vaishali Tikku, Vanita Shetty, Vivek Harukoli, E.L. Nehru, Kuldeep Singh, and we have many people coming on Facebook and other YouTube channels. Varsha, and we got Milani already joined. We got Atul Jugani joined from Thailand. So already people have started joining in. Let me first have the honor of introducing the guest of honor of this evening, Dr. Usha Mujoo Munshi. Mujoo is like a cart gobi of Kashmiri community, a vegetable, very powerful vegetable. And Munshi is like an accountant. So Usha ji belongs to my community, Kashmiri Pandit community. We are all victims of genocide. Dr. Usha Mujoo Munshi is presently the president of Information and Communication Society of India, a Fulbright scholar. She has served at many prestigious organizations like INSDOC, the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, New Delhi, Indian National Science Academy, New Delhi, Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta, Indian Institute of Public Administration, which is IIPA. When you look at her background, she's highly educated woman of the community. When you look at her background, she did BSc from University of Kashmir, B.Lips from University of Kashmir again, 1979, MLC, MA Public Administration as well, from University of Delhi, and then from University of Rajasthan. She is a PhD from Jivaji University, and she is Fulbright Fellowship from Maryland College, USA, Indiana University, Bloomington University of Illinois at Urbana, University of California, Berkeley. And she has been very active in the global world, not only in India. Usha ji has over 170 research and conference publications to her credit, a few books which she has written down, besides a number of other publications. Her latest book, which is very well known, is on data science landscape towards research to standards and protocols, published by Springer under their book series Studies in Big Data 2018, has been released in 2018 June. She has received national and international awards that include Raizada Memorial Award of 1994 for Young Information Scientist of the Society of Information Sciences, SIS Fellowship Award in 1999, Fulbright Scholar in 96-97, Assist International Best Paper Award by ASSIT, USA in 2002. In 2009, Dr. Munshi obtained post of DEA and academic recognition given to her by Foundation Masson de Sciences de Home, Paris, France. And she is the first one to receive this recognition in the area of information and technology. Very elite. She received Distinguished Faculty Award 2015 from Delhi Library Association and DLA Professional Excellence Award for Working LIS Leader 2016-2017. Dr. Munshi has organized over 50 national and international conferences that include one on very big and open data, evolving data science standards and citation attribution practices, held on November 5th and 6th, 2015 at INSA, New Delhi. She is the organizing literacy program, which of late has become highly popular and in demand. She has very strongly contributed to manpower development, organized large number of training programs of various themes. She has number of capacity building programs at IIPA for civil servants, S&T personnel, and corporate sector at national level, and also for various sponsored programs for international participants from various countries. When you look at Usha, Usha ji is on the editorial board of few national and international journals in the area of information science and technology. She has been elected as the editorial board of DSJ, brought by the International Council of Science, and CODATA, Paris. She is the chief editor Journal of Data Sciences and Research, brought by Sigma Academic Publisher, Columbia, MD 21044, acting as the member of the steering committee of IAP, Inter-Academy Panel, and Task Force on Digital Resources, US, National Academy of Sciences, USA, and co-chairing steering committee, National Digital Preservation Program, Government of India. She has been nominated as member of International Committee for International Council, ICSU, Paris. She has been associated with meetings of consultative development committees. She is into many organizations with task force on putting TGDR, task force on data citations. She has also been included as member governing board, Rampur Raza University Ministry of Culture, Government of India, for a period of 5 years from 2019. Dr. Munshi has been nominated as the member National Core Data Committee by the Indian National Science Academy, INSA. What a profound, Dr. Munshi, what a profound background you have got. कहाँ आपको इतना time मिला पढ़ने को?
Thank you very much for those kind words. Actually, it evolved, as I grew from my, youth to presently what I am. And I just got a lot of opportunities. Of course, there were a lot of challenges, struggles in my journey from my, teens to the present day. But I was also fortunate to meet wonderful people at, each institution. There were a few people who were really, really very supportive, very encouraging, who motivated me, who encouraged me, who actually, carved and shaped my kind of journey all along. So I express my deep gratitude towards all of them. Yes, uh, my parents, my
I
siblings,
will be coming to that. In
cousins.
fact, I'll be
Yeah.
coming to that, but I will have a lot of questions for you. Dr. Munshi, what I am doing is I have got some questions for you.
Yeah.
I will be putting those questions first. And there are people on various platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Global TV channel, as well as Zoom. I would be requesting those attendees who are joining, who are already there, to park their questions, and I will be facilitating the questions on behalf of them. But those who are on Zoom, I would request them to ask questions themselves. I will unmute them and they can have a direct interaction with you.
Yeah,
So this should take us next an hour, and I am excited. I am thrilled to have you on the show. We have had wonderful, great women power people on this show. You are again one of a very important women power for us, and that's why we decided to have you on this show. And I'm
thank you so
really
much.
looking forward to a great interaction, which will give a lot of people an opportunity to understand and become someone like you who have faced challenges and then come out and become a woman of excellence. You are a woman of excellence. You are a powerful women power. And my first question goes to you. That is, you are a woman of substance, woman of excellence, women power, whatever we call, because women is the most powerful people in the world, starting from my mom, who has been the strongest power of my life. Now, how did you grow? How was your childhood? Because when we look at women in a family, normally, you know, as a woman child, there are issues and challenges. Was it different for you? How was it? How did your parents, your grandparents, because at that point of time, the families were joined. Today's times are different. So how was it for you? How did you reach to this level? Can you
Well,
share your
yeah. Well, I was born in a middle class family in Srinagar at Rainawari, which is an old town in Kashmir, but a very beautiful place. And I was youngest of the three children. You know, my mother was a homemaker and a father was in government service. Now, I grew in an environment, as you said, that joint families. I grew in an environment, though it wasn't a traditional joint family, but it was, the culture was like a joint family, and everybody was staying in those. We had two houses, vertically lined on the third level. They were connected, and we all were living in one family. Uh, Grandparents, I wasn't that fortunate to see either pair of my grandparents. You know, they have left for their heavenly abode before I was born. But I think my family had huge impact and influence on me in my upbringing, or on my life. Be it my parents, my siblings, my uncle, aunts, and even my cousins, who have actually, motivated me uh, mm, in certain areas, particularly in my studies. I just looked up to them to how do I calm my niche to grow. We were, so far as the female child, challenges are concerned, we were treated all at par with no discrimination. So far as, see, altogether, me, my siblings, and my cousins, we were 9 girls. And a lone male child was my brother for a very, very long time. And after a long, long time, much later, my cousin brother was born. But my brother was not treated differently. That was, I think, the beautiful part of our family. On the contrary, whenever we had to share, duties at home, the toughest and the hardest will go to my brother. So as a child, I had absolutely no inkling of, gender discrimination. So rather, being the youngest, I was not pampered in that way, but yes, there were a lot of freedom to do things, to come up with ideas, to share, those ideas. Whether they were translated into action or not, that was not important. But we were given a hearing and very, very patient listening by our parents, even uncles and aunts and cousins and all. We had a very traditional middle class family values, and very little things would excite us, particularly me. Something very ordinary would fascinate me. Say, for instance, we would all sit in the evening in a big hall. It was called a ravak. Many Kashmiris would know that, and sing. My mother, my siblings, my cousin, my brother, he has a soulful voice. He still sings and he puts his songs on the YouTube. So we would enjoy that. A small vacation to our maternal uncle place, who was living in a very modern village, and we would enjoy that. We would go on a long walk with a neighborhood dadi. So that would fascinate me. So it was a life which was an ordinary one, but with the extraordinary, kind of happenings that were happening around us. There are many people who have helped me as I grew as a child, in the initial years, shaping my and carving my, my way forward. My parents really encouraged me, and I remember it was little later when I was in the college. I was during the inter-college sports competitions. You were supposed to, do a warm up in the morning and run for almost 3-4 miles. But since I was a science student, so it was very difficult for me to do that in the college, because early morning sessions will start with the practical sessions. So what I used to do is that I used to go on foot from my home to the college, but it was quite a distance from between my home and college, and I had to cross. If I had to take a shortcut, I had to cross a place which was a graveyard, and it's called Malkha. It's a graveyard. It was an open graveyard on either sides, and there was a road in between. Not that it was very secluded, but since I was going early morning, it was little difficult for a girl to move that side. And my father would gladly, I remember, accompany me to cross that path and then return and get ready for his work. There was so much of joy. And for small small little achievements of mine, he would, I now when I look back, and I think that he would blow it out of proportion, talking to people that my daughter did this, she won a medal in the sports and things like that. And yes, there was a teacher in my school, and I remember that mathematics was not my favorite subject at all. Rather, I was a little scared about whether I'm going to pass my exams or not. But it was all because of this teacher, Mr. Demby, Master G, that he took, he taught us in such a way, all of us, he groomed us in such a way that all of us did well, even me, including me, who was not good at math. And plus his unique anecdotes, motivated me, gave me hope, encouraged me, kind of it put me on track that yes, I can also do. I think I have potential if I work hard. And the end result was good. And I deeply, with deep sense of gratitude and appreciation, I thank him and my parents wherever they are today. So that was my childhood, actually.
That's a very profound childhood when you have only one boy in the entire 7, 8 girls, but at the same time, joint family system. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching us right now around the world, Indians have that kind of course, I don't know. Now the next gen and the present situation is different. Things are getting very different and different now. But at the same time, when we see in terms of you switch off your yes. When we see in today's environment, it's different. And however, having said that, those are some memorable days which you shared. Now let me know about you after you went to other education. You took next levels of education, starting from Kashmir University, moving to Jivaji University, Rajasthan University, and the PhD. Now, how was your this education stream? As I said in the beginning, you are highly educated man, and we feel very proud of it. And I feel very proud of my
Thank you so much.
community that our women always got that much of power, and all children got power, and women especially. We believe in education, and that's where even after 30, 31 years of genocide, we are still struggling around the world because of education, but we have proved to be a different community. Now,
Yeah.
I would like to know who were the people who motivated you to move on this education stream step by step? Who guided you? Who supported you in those days? And how did you move forward? Audience would get excited to see your journey of excellence in education. As a girl child, getting into a teenager and getting into the education system and attaining this high education.
Actually, if you ask me, I never thought of what I'm going to be in the long run. But, my education, academics is a mixed bag, actually. And, it has evolved as part of my picking up the jobs also. And if you permit me, I will also, kind of bring in my that part also, work part also. After I completed my schooling, I went to college with the science background stream, and here my sister was a professor of botany. So it was like, she was my professor also. Though her presence, there was little taxing in the sense that I had to be little careful and conscious that I don't bunk the classes and I don't misbehave. I don't take, teachers for a ride like any other teenager would do. But that was fine. But I continued with my spree of playing sports. Being in cultural activities because I was always ready to get into this, academic debates, cultural activities. And perhaps, I think that got a little, more attention because of my sister was there in the same college. And I got opportunities also. Of course, not many science students were in the cultural activities, and I was an exception. But sports, many of my friends were, and we were all very good in sports. We used to, we have won a lot of medals when it came to inter college or interstate competitions. And I used to play 3 games and I did well. Even till when I joined the Delhi University, I won the coordination committee award, and I went inter ministry awards also in the sports. But that was also, my parents, as I said, they used to encourage me. And when I completed this college, my graduation BSc, and I had a short stint at Kashmir University, I did my big BSc course from there. Of course, this was the period that hit me health wise, and I was hospitalized for a couple of months. But with even missing classes for a couple of months, I did fairly well, and I was appreciated. And this was time when my father told me that I should try for admission in Delhi University. So I was conscious of the fact that my father by that time had retired from his regular services. And I knew that financial resources are going to be an issue if I go to Delhi. But my father told me that if you get admission um, in Delhi, don't worry about anything, not even finances. You just do your best and get admission in the Delhi University. So he was very encouraging. For education, it was, that home there was culture of that everybody was into academics. Everybody was into academics. Whether they were average, they were good, they were excellent. We had a mixed bunch of, siblings and cousins, but everybody was into, education. Therefore, when I applied, I remember applied for Delhi University. I remember my brother, who was not much older than me, he was 4 years older to me. He accompanied me to Delhi, and it was very scary because when I sat for the exam, we were told in the morning, the exam started at 9 o'clock, and we were told that the results will be announced for the written exam at 1 p.m. and you should check the notice board. And those who have qualified the written test will sit for the interview, and by 6 o'clock, the final results will be out, and then you will, manage the same. The thing was that when I entered the hall, I saw two halls where the middle door was open, but full of candidates. And these were the candidates from outside Delhi, outstation candidates who have come, because for them there was written test. For local Delhi University students, there was no test. Actually, there was only merit. So I sat for the exam, but I was very scared, very scared. I told my brother that if I fail, what will happen? I will be going back as a routed person from here. He said, don't worry, do your best. So somehow I cleared the written test, and I cleared the interview also. So there were two other Kashmiri girls who also got selected along with me. So that's how my journey started in Delhi. And I never went back to Kashmir after that. I stayed back. And I did not top in my master's in Delhi, but I did fairly well, so for us. And there were some teachers, there was a mixed bag of teachers. Some were really good, some were nagging type. But on an average, it was a wonderful period to be associated with, and to kind of get used to those. It was a complex place. So for us, because I belonged to a very small town, a small place, led a shelled life till then, and very protective life. But here it was, you had to take all the decisions yourself. And I must share with the audience, when I left for Delhi, after I got admission, my father told me one thing, said, the day you think that you have to hide something from your parents or from your siblings, that means that is not good for you. You need to give it a second thought and think that whether if you do it, are you going to still hide it from your parents and siblings? If the answer is yes, please don't do it, because that's not then good for you. And he left. There was no interference, but there were these small advices. And I actually had, drawn a line that beyond this, I don't have more, because I was aware of the fact that I, my father is spending so much of money, irrespective of the fact that he's not in a position, because my brother was still studying and I was also studying, and he was supporting us. And he has supported his, my other family, my uncles, because they got married when they were still studying. So he was supporting them also. But anyway, that is how things were moving at that point in time. So I got, the moment I completed my master's, I gave the final exams of master's at Delhi University. I was actually also trying to get as an trainee somewhere before I could move forward for my, other higher education, MPhil and PhD. So I got into USIS as an intern, and it was very difficult to get in, very quite number of interviews you had to face there. Anyway, I got, and it was both exciting and important for me. Important because I needed financial support so that I can ask my parents not to send me money now. That was one. Second exciting was that every 15 days, like any other, unlike any other agency, I will get money, because they used to pay on fortnightly basis. And money as an internee was 750 rupees, which was huge sum for 15 day, after every 15th day, you would get 750. And, my hostel expenses were very meager. I was in PG Women's Delhi University hostel, and they were very meager. And while I was doing this, internship at USIS, of course, I was working very hard and I was appreciated. My floor mates who were appearing for IAS, they asked me to register, I should study public administration so that I can write the services exam. So that's how I got interested, and it was fascinating for me. And I took the course with Rajasthan University, attended, weekends I was off from my USIS work. So I, completed my master's in public administration. I did, write the prelims, and I cleared prelims twice. And this is the first time I'm confessing that I didn't tell my parents, because I didn't tell them that I am applying for this, because there would have been a little different type of a pressure on me. I didn't want that. But I didn't do well in the mains, because I would read from the notes of my floor mates, and they would go to the Rouse classes, and I couldn't afford to pay for Rouse classes. At that time, I think it was around 15,000 rupees that you had to pay. And I didn't have that kind of money, and I didn't want to ask my father. I knew my limitations. So I couldn't clear the mains, but nevertheless, I have no regrets for that. But, I wouldn't have seen the world the way I saw it by not being there. Okay.
This is the classic example of someone from a middle class family struggling with 750 rupees that time and talking about 15,000 rupees. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching it now, or who are going to be watching it later on, see how an ordinary middle class family girl, a girl child, making a difference and becoming independent, and that father's one advice before leaving the hometown, which kept on in the mind of this Dr. Usha Mujoo Munshi, and she kept building her career. This is amazingly truthful of many women around the world, that how did they move forward with their energy, passion, and commitment of taking their level and life to the next level of excellence in whatever we do. And we are seeing that in many women which we have been interviewing. And today we see another great women power sharing that simple, elegant story of excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching and keep putting your, questions. I can see Jennifer already joined from Malaysia. I can see Keshav is already there from Jagdishpur. I can see, I can see Yone from Boston already there. Yes, we are looking forward to raise you. I can see Vivek Harkoli looking for your questions because I will be getting your questions and asking those questions as I said. So, Usha ji, with this profound career, what you have, so much of conferences, so much of research papers, so much of work you have done for various organizations, and being a woman, when you have been doing this, all this work. But there are this work and the places where you have been has been dominated by men. And you
Yeah.
being a woman, what were your challenges and issues you faced? And how did you overcome those challenges, irrespective of being a woman and attaining those excellence? Was it easy?
Yeah.
Was it? And I have another question also attached to this, both the questions you need to answer. Is that other side, you are a wife, you are a daughter-in-law, you are a mother, you are a daughter also. So many things attached to this women. How did you manage all this? So two questions in one question.
Yeah. Well, you can, it takes two to tango actually. So it's not, if I take all the credit to myself, that will be injustice to my family, both, my mother's side and my in-laws side. They've been wonderful person, wonderful people, and I'm going to narrate how did I do what I did, if I did, whatever little I did in my life. When I said that I was in USIS and I could have continued there, but yeah, I didn't want it to do, continue with them. So I wanted something else. So I didn't know what I want. So I joined the Indian Institute of Mass Communication at that point in time, where Sri H.V. Sharda Prasad, who was also the press advisor to Srimati Indira Gandhi at that time, and I did a book for them, and it needed a lot of travel. So I told my parents that I'm going to travel. They said, yes, go ahead. So I went and I completed. By the time I completed this book, I submitted to IMC because, and they wanted to retain me, but that was not the place that I would like to have continued. After this book, and when I was about to submit it, I had applied seriously for a number of jobs, actually. So I got, an interview from CSIR, Council of Scientific Industrial. And this was the organization that I wanted to work for because there were a lot of opportunities given to people. And I thought I will get a lot of opportunities here for furtherance of my career. Of course, it wasn't easy. And let me also be confess that, a women has to work 4 times much harder than the male counterpart to prove at work or otherwise, if you have to really excel. So that was one part that was in my mind. And here there were 13 positions all over India for different units of this lab. And it was one of the prestigious national institutes and very difficult to get entry. Of course, then there were promotion avenues and all. So I was selected here, and the best was that I was given 5 increments, advance increments, during at the time of my induction, which was something unheard of in the entire history of CSIR. So there were two other candidates, who were recruits who were given 2 and 3 increments each. I was given 5, and they were given, one of them was given 2, the other was given 3, and one of them is my dearest friend of mine. We were together. So people ask me that, what did I do to get these 5 increments? Of course, selection is fine. So I told them, I don't know what I did. But I think that what might have worked, because, I was still carrying that simplicity, that innocence with which I was brought up in Kashmir. So that was maybe my sincere answers could have, impressed them. I don't know, but I got the 5 increments. And there was no looking back. Of course, challenges turned into opportunities. Whether it was getting initiated and mastering technology, getting competing for getting projects, international level projects, executing research projects, contributing for manpower development, training, or even kind of getting into memberships. And so there was a lot of contribution to be made if one would have really worked hard. So there were a lot of activities that one could do. So I was here, I thought so much of this, as part of this, during my activities, so much of research work I did. And I thought that if I can do little more with little more efforts, I can earn a PhD degree out of these research efforts. So it was here when I joined CSIR. So I started working on those lines and approached my professors at Delhi University that I would like to do this research. The professor liked my proposal very much, and he said, okay, yes, you will be my student, research scholar. But the requirement there in Delhi University was that I had to be on campus for 6 to 8 months. And my director at CSIR, there was a problem. He did not allow me to be on the sabbatical because there were a number of activities parallelly going on. So he said, you can do it from here. I will facilitate you with manpower, who will do your literature search and things like that. But anyway, I was really, really very fortunate that I had this guide of mine, Professor C.P. Vashisht, who's a fatherly figure to me, who asked me to register from Jivaji University. And he spoke to the head of department and pro-vice chancellor there, who was also head of department at that time. And he was a simple person that he was, and he very honest in telling me that, Usha, most of the analysis and thinking you have to do yourself. And I was ready for it because it was a new area that I was working on, and it was emerging area, actually. I was working on mapping of science and trying to come out with some algorithms or equations to how this science could be mapped using different parameters. So I was working on that. No, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for 2 years while I was completing my research and finalizing it. Every Saturday, I would travel from Delhi to Gwalior. I will board the Shatabdi Express at 6:15 a.m. from New Delhi station, reach there by 9:15. They start taking classes from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 7 o'clock, board another train from there and reach by 10 o'clock to Delhi. And then my husband will come to railway station to pick me up. So this went for 2 years and it wasn't easy. Then I had to put in almost 16 to 17 hours of hard labor in a day, in 24-hour period cycle, because my son was 5 years old. I had to look after him. I had my parents-in-laws, particularly my father-in-law, who was a wonderful person, a dear friend, besides being my father-in-law. And he was here. So I had to look, as being the lady of the house, I had to look after the family also. But all of them were so supportive, so encouraging that I could, complete my PhD and get my PhD degree. And from here, when I completed my PhD degree, and I did a lot of teaching and training at the Council of Scientific Industrial Research, my work was appreciated by many, including the then Director General, Professor S.K. Joshi. He was Director General and Secretary Government of India, and he was also President of Indian National Science Academy. And much to my disappointment, I had to leave CSIR because of the very vague kind of strange kind of promotion scheme, career development scheme. They factored entire CSIR, and it has put at a loss many people like me. And so I had decided to change my workplace. I joined Indian National Science Academy, and Professor Joshi was president. And I was told after I joined the International Science Academy in 94, I was told by my executive director that Professor Joshi told us that she should be given a free hand. Whatever she wants to initiate, let her initiate. And I'm very fortunate that I got that kind of environment where I could take initiative. And this was the first place where I had created, networked with fiber optic cables, 360 nodes in the entire campus. This was also the first place where I could put the state of art infrastructure. And it came, during those days I used to take a chartered bus, and I saw this lady from Pioneer, and she told me, "You are working for INSA." I said, "Yes." She said, "There is an article today in the Pioneer." I said, "What is it about? Can I see?" And it was the article on the infrastructure that I had set up, which was facilitating. It was 256 chassis CD. This was the first such installation in the country at that time. And I also facilitated information access 24/7 to the guest house. None of the guest houses in the India had, this access to information, because, you would get who is who of Indian science and technology to the guest house, staying in the guest house, inside guest house. So this article was that I didn't tell her that this is me who has done it. I said, "Can I?" Anyway, I went to office when I told my one of my colleagues, "Can you buy a copy of the Pioneer and give it to Mr. Sani?" Mr. Sani was my executive director, and he was so happy. He said, "How did it happen? Did you speak to the people?" I said, "No, but it came in the press. Maybe the person who has supplies us the hardware has got it published for his this thing, but it came in the press." And again, there was one initiative that was first in the country, was bringing e-science journal portal in the public domain. And around that time, it was 90 sorry 99 2000 that we launched it for public consumption. And around that time was open access movement, and we signed, I was instrumental in getting Government of India sign Berlin Declaration on Open Access, which would mean that to the end user, the access will be free. There's no concept like, we should not promote a concept like information haves and have nots. So we have to have to, because we have the brain power in India, we have to give them access to the good information, good research. So I got them, I was instrumental and fortunate that they did agree to my request, and they signed the Berlin Declaration in 2002. And since then, it is becoming open, that the movement took on from there. And it was here that I applied for Fulbright scholarship, and I got. It was a year-long process. You will be interviewed several times, then you have to present your report, and I got Fulbright, and I took off. I went left for the US almost for 1 year. And I will be failing in my duties if I don't express my gratitude. Of course, my husband, my son, my father-in-law particularly, who would ensure that I am mentally not disturbed, because I have left my son here, he was a toddler at that time. And he would always encourage me. And my mother-in-law, because she stayed all through that 1 year to look after my family, and my sister. She also played a part during that period. But I think that the greatest credit will go to my father-in-law. The way he had motivated me. And whenever I will call, because I was missing my son, and it was a humongous task to keep him in good humor, because all along he was with me, and I have never left him all by himself. But he did fairly well in studies while I was away also. So that the credit goes to the entire family. They did support me. So I completed my Fulbright there, and my work was appreciated. And I'm still in touch with my teachers, my mentors, my guides in US. And whenever I visit US, I meet all of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching someone from an ordinary background making it extraordinary by extraordinary commitment, drive, energy, as well as passion. And this is the storytelling of a woman who comes from a small town, moves into a larger town, did not know what to do, how to do, and then moving to US and becoming someone who was a women power today. Well, Usha ji, I have a question. Looking at your
Yeah.
capacity as a teacher, a capacity of building capacity development and project development. Now, all this has been done by you in various roles you have played. So, which one attracts you more? Is it teaching? Is it capacity development? Is it project development? Where do you see you are very mad about it, passionate about it? And even in this three main domain of you shared some of the beautiful things which you have done, which was not there at all, and you were the first mover. How do how do you see yourself into these three areas, and where does your heart belong to?
See, teaching is my passion.
Wow.
I got this opportunity first while I was working for CSIR. Of course, I was hired for something else, some projects, but I got an opportunity. The head of department there was a course, master's level course. He asked me that whether I can teach, certain subjects, and I volunteered. I said yes, I can. And of course, the first lecture that I delivered, it took me a month to prepare for that, and I was very young. I think I was around 21 and a half at that time. So, and nervous also because the students were much older than I was. So, and international students as well. And they're very outspoken, and it was very difficult. It was quite a challenging. But, I had of course, as you mentioned, I had an assorted platter of activities, on hand, and each one, whether they were by chance or they were part of the entire work culture wherever I had worked, and they were also interwoven. For instance, if I talk about what I did at INSA, I had to do a lot of projects. I had to I initiated science in society, science education, science media, and I had to do projects myself to make them understand that how it will work and things like that. And teaching was a byproduct of that. When I came to IIPA, my work was working on the project and looking after the informatics center. But when I talked about the data discovery, data evidence-based policy formulation, so they asked me, can I develop the modules? So I did develop the modules. So I was working, and also here the requirement was that we had to earn for the organization. So I had to do the capacity building programs for the international bureaucrats also. I had to do capacity building programs for the national civil servants. I had to do other programs also to earn and do the projects also. So therefore, it was, of course, my passion is teaching, but research was a byproduct of that. And unless you research, you cannot teach. Unless if you teach, you have to research. So they were all. So that's how all the three came. And it was, this research also resulted uh, in the publications that I published. So you talked about the data science landscape book, which was brought out by Springer. It was when in 2015, I organized that international, I'm part of International Council of Science. I'm on their number of task and working groups, and also part of the International Data Policy Committee. So as part of that International Data Policy Committee, they had asked 11 countries to organize such an event so that they could get the feedback from different, using different perspectives, they can generate the white paper. So India was one of the countries that asked, and Paul Ulher, who is based, who used to work for U.S. Academy, National Academy of Science, he was chairing the International Data Policy Committee, and he asked me, Usha, can I do it from India? I said yes, and I'm very proud Indian to say that the Indian program was the best. We had 450 participants and people from all walks of life, whether it was ministers, it was bureaucrats, it was policymakers, it was hardcore scholars and researchers, it was the research students also, and there were international visitors, and I had invited best of the minds to share their views and experiences, how we can take India to a next level in this data science. And I had with me at that time Deputy Director General of National Informatics Center, Dr. Neeta Verma, who is now the Director General of National Informatics Center. She was my I asked her, Neeta, would you like to associate with me? She said yes, because they are doing a lot of energy regarding data is concentrated in National Informatics Center. They have the open data portal and things like that. So I thought that it will be very nice to associate her. So associated her, and we did this program, and I just came out with a white paper, which became the base white paper for the International Council of Science. Of course, it became the basic paper, and they developed. And then the speakers told me that we don't have any documentation on this. Why don't you bring out a book? So that was an incentivizing factor force for me, and I started working on the book, and took a year to publish this book, and it had done very well. And similarly, when I went to from INSA, I went to Indian Statistical Institute, and I did a number of projects, and I must appreciate the management and the faculty of Indian Statistical Institute, that they really welcomed me very warm, gave me very warm welcome. And particularly when they saw that I really wanted to work for the development organization. And they became very, very good friends of mine. And my dream was to work with a professor who is perhaps world #1 in computer vision and pattern recognition, Professor B.B. Chaudhary. So my book, which was part of the statistical science series from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and brought out by World Scientific, who is an eminent publisher in the world, is with Professor B.B. Chaudhary. He's fondly called as BBC, actually. So that was my dream. So I did that. I'm the first author, and B.B. Chaudhary is the second author. That was my another book. And in between, while I came back to Indian Institute of Public Administration, and this was the time when I was in Indian Statistical Institute, and I got, ICSSR Delhi and FMSH Paris. They actually facilitated me bilateral cultural exchange fellowship. I went there, I worked there. And there was this lady who was heading the Asia section, Professor France Bhattacharya. And I asked her, France, you have a very strange name. Bhattacharya is Indian. And when this mail came to me, I thought this is spam. I'm going to park it in the trash. But I just looked at it, says something fellowship, because it was France Bhattacharya and very, unusual name. So she told me that the management, the executive committee, is very impressed by your research work. And I worked at very key institutes while I was in France. And the best part was, what impressed the most was, before I left for India, I submitted the report. And that was not the usual practice. And I think France told me that you are the first person to do that. And when they evaluated that project, she got back to me that the executive committee has decided to honor you with DEA fellowship. So I said, but France, there's none in my area. She said, we are actually changing the rules to incorporate information science and technology. So that's how I got DEA fellow. And I worked, one of the areas that was of concern to FMSH. And I submitted, I cleared that. I did that research and submit them the report that helped them to for fund advocacy. That was not my area, but I did it with the information technology division. So it was how do they do the funding advocacy for France for this. So I did that project and they appreciated that, and they still invite me. Of course, I have some limitations now because I have a number of projects I've had from different organizations. So that is how I came back to.
Usha ji, that's really a very great journey of excellence which you're sharing. Now, you are now president of Information Communication Society of India. You have so much of network. You have done so much of work here and there. You are doing so much of international activities. You are associated with so many national, international organizations, task forces. You have won so many awards and honors, part of your academic and professional recognition. What next? What do you want to do now? What's your mission? What are you
Yeah.
up to now?
See, as president of ICSI, I have a lot of responsibilities to promote its activities, because when hand over the chair to someone else, that there should be adequate number of activities that or accomplishments that have already been there, and so that he or she can take it forward from there. Uh, so I'm doing that. I also am engaged with the activities of IIC, and I do a number of, as you said, that I do a number of programs for them, academic programs. At the international level, as I said, that I'm associated with the International Council for Science, which is ICSUCO data, and Research Data Alliance, where most of the data energy is stored, World Data Systems, and the like, as a member of task groups and working groups and International Data Policy Committee. And I'm also nominated for various positions in these organizations. So there is a lot of work, there are a lot of communication exchanges that keeps my, part of my day goes in that. I'm also contributing as a member to governing board of certain organizations in India, and also national member of ICSUCO data, which is constituted by Indian National Science Academy. So there are a lot of things on my platter, and my wish is to contribute meaningfully to the society till my last breath. So that's what I'm doing.
My God, a woman of excellence is sharing her journey of excellence. And she's continuously working on various areas, locally, domestic, international. So this is a contribution to the global world, to the community, to the whole world. When I have an important question now.
Yeah.
Now we are going through a very tough times, and we thought probably we are out from this pandemic, but still it's not leaving us. It's painful, it's tough, it's difficult. So many people lost lives, so many people in pain. What is your message to women who are suffering from many things because of COVID? What are your key messages? Especially, I would like you to give to one or two messages that how do they take this pain and come out of this pain, what's going on, because they have multiple roles, not only at home, but corporate roles or education excellence roles, or as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, and then community role and organization role. What is your couple of messages to those women in this
See,
pandemic?
See, this public health pandemic has hit women disproportionately hard, very hard. Particularly, if you take health professionals and essential workers at the times of COVID were women. Now, if you look at, each and every one of us is affected by this unprecedented, what is called crisis, but it has hit the women the most, who often hold vulnerable and precarious jobs the hardest way. if you remember, just before I give you the statistics of women, because that will give that will roll out the further storyline so far as this pandemic is concerned. We must appreciate that if 70% of the health workers are women, right? So, and the 60% of the women employment is in the informal sector economy, or you can say that it's not a formal sector, informal sector with the few protections against dismissal and limited access to social protection. So if you our domestic workforce, they have kind of during the COVID they had to leave. So how they made a living was it's very painful to even think about that. The global gender gap is struck at 16%, leaving women more vulnerable to domestic violence. So, and this COVID has seen, gender equality and leadership response to recovery from COVID-19, how women can adapt to this new normal and address the overall implications of COVID, the effect on the lives and livelihoods of the women and girls, as well as post-COVID livelihood implications. Now, I will give you an example before I go further here, that our domestic, say in my case, I know of my domestic workforce, when there was little, the restrictions were removed, I think she was the first one to come help her family, come out, because her husband was working as a delivery boy for one of these FAOs, food and beverage organizations, which were completely, where the services were completely paralyzed. So this lady would work for extra hours to make a living, support the family. And her support to the family has actually made the economy cycle move. How? Because when she would feed her family, she would buy the products. When she would buy the products, the shopkeeper, the local shopkeeper, will also help a wholesale dealer. The wholesaler dealer will go on, the original producer of the product. So there will be supply and demand. Therefore, women have been at the front as a front runner to overcome challenges to a great extent, even if most of them are working in informal sectors. So there is no accountability for that. Therefore, domestic violence during this period has gone up by 25%. Therefore, we need to study carefully the implications of this lockdown and curfews, particularly when we talk about the vulnerabilities of women and girls to gender-based violence, how to engage and educate men to eliminate violence. I think here women can also play a greater role. Therefore, we also need to ensure a holistic approach to foster the well-being of women and girls. That's very, very important.
My last question on this, because I think you have beautifully responded to this question. And my last question here is, this hashtag Women Power, a global movement, that's where we are sitting right now.
Yeah.
And I have been consistently working on this program for more than a year. Dr. Kiran Bedi is our number one Women Power on the show. And starting from there, when she said, let's international, and we did it. We are in 20 chapters around the world. What is going to be your contribution to this moment, Ushaji? How will you contribute to this great moment? People call me mad, and I am also known as an honorable woman process in the entire thing. And you rightly talked about some of very important key points and challenges. How will you support this cause, this mission, wherein we can reach more and more women around the world? You are connected net, your network is huge. I want you to connect in any part of the world, any caste, any religion, any color, And especially those countries where there are a lot of sufferings, because I myself go to countries before COVID where there are a lot of suffering so far as women is concerned. And I have seen it myself. I have educated them, I have trained them, and those are very tough countries. How will you support this movement?
Uh, I don't think it's a big issue. Surely and certainly you will achieve your target to succeed in your mission. So you just say that you are looking at 50% of the population, right?
Yep.
Women power is 50%. So if you consider it said that 7.9 billion population in the world in 2020, the World Bank says that it is 3.803 billion are the women
Hmm.
population. So where is the issue then? I of bringing 1 million women on board out of this 3.803 billion.
Nothing.
If ratio, it's a peanut that we are talking about. And if you say, there are glaring examples of umpteen number of women of substance to reckon with. And you
Absolutely.
ask me that how can you take this? Count on whosoever comes to your show, right? And each one of us can suggest at least 10 names, and you're there.
So nice of you, Usha ji. I must thank you so much for your wonderful journey of excellence you shared. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really amazing. This is getting really great. And I need to really take up the questions. And I have got a first question from Yone from Boston. She says, what an amazing story. And how was she doing it alone among all the women? What about other 7 women? Have they also become women of excellence? There's a question
Uh,
Yone asked from Boston.
okay, is this the 7 women in my family?
Yeah.
If so, well, my sister is very diligent. She became professor. Of course, as I said, I was very playful from the very beginning, since my childhood, and I keep that youthful heart still. You know, when people ask me about my age, I tell them what my age is, but I said that is a number. So you have to have, inside within, you should have that feeling that you are still young and you can do a lot. The
Fine.
other kids have also done well in their respective fields. Like my cousins have been, some of them are teachers, some are doctors, some are bank managers. I think everybody has done a little bit, but my coming to Delhi has actually opened up lots of vistas for me. Whether it was a changed environment, a complex world altogether different than what I was used to, and a whole lot of opportunities, which perhaps I wouldn't have got if I would have stayed back in Kashmir. So, and then that typical middle class values in back of my mind, that I have to do with every new activity, I have to do better and better and better. And coupled with that were the opportunities that I got, and the fortunateness of meeting right kind of people who could motivate me, encourage me more than anything else to move further, and the wonderful family that I got. Mm, my biological wonderful family and the family that I got after my marriage.
Wow, that's fantastic. Professor Roshan Raina, he is the Vice Chancellor of JK University, Jaipur. He mentions great contributions from equally great lady. Hats off to Usha ji. There's a comment from Keshav Kumar Saab. Women are powerful from Vedic period. Excellent, ma'am. And I've got another question coming from Delane from Australia. Uh, Usha is a great name, and it gives me a feeling that with her name, she is beautiful and she has done beautiful work all around. Is she going to be continuing doing or taking a retirement? Because in Australia, we believe we should retire.
Well, I wouldn't, as I said, that till I would like to contribute meaningfully to the society till my last breath. So, so long as my health permits, so long as I am able to contribute, I will continue to contribute. And this is a promise from my side.
Beautiful. And now I got Vinita here on the Zoom, and she has a question for you. Vinita, I think you can raise your question yourself. I am unmuting you. Are you there, Vinita? Vinita said. Yeah, Vanita said. Amrish, Varsha, can you unmute Vanita so that she can ask the question? Why I am not able to do that? Vanita, I can unmute you, and then there's Vanita. Please go ahead. In the meanwhile, can I go ahead with Kuldeep Singh? He has a question. Amrish, Varsha, I think there's something wrong on the Zoom. I want to have this question raised by themselves. I am not able to do that. Are you there, Varsha or
Yes, sir.
Amrish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Vanita Seth wants to raise a question. I can't unmute her. And Kuldeep Singh wants to raise a question. Vanita. Unmute her. Yes. Yeah, Vanita, please go ahead and ask question. Vanita, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Vanita.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Vanita. Vanita, go ahead. Yeah, Vanita, you can raise your question. I think we are not getting. Okay, can you put Mr. Kuldeep Singh to raise the question? Amrish, Kuldeep Singh. So Vanita, we are not able to get. Kuldeep Singh. Vanita, are you there? Yeah, Mr. Kuldeep Singh, please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Yeah, Mr. Kuldeep Singh, you can unmute yourself. Oh, there's something wrong. Okay, Vanita had asked a
Hello.
question. Yeah,
Hello,
yeah,
जी.
Mr.
Kuldeep is there. Yeah, Kuldeep
जी
is there.
जी जी
Yes.
जी कुलदीप सिंह बोल रहे हैं। नमस्कार उषा जी, नमस्कार बख्शी जी।
नमस्कार जी।
बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है उषा जी, आपकी कहानी सुनकर हमें भी थोड़ा सा और भी मतलब जिसको बोलते हैं हौसला होता है और जोश आता है। मेरा सिर्फ सवाल ये है कि हम भी वहीं इंडिया से पढ़ लिख के अब बाहर आए हैं, अभी भी अपने इंडिया में बहुत ही बड़ा दुख होता है, अनबैलेंस है, स्पेशली वुमेन के साथ। आप अच्छी जगह पे आके अभी दिल्ली में हैं, आई एम श्योर यू कैन कंट्रीब्यूट अ लॉट टू जो अपने पॉलिटिशियन है, ब्यूरोक्रेट हैं, आपके मन में कुछ चल रहा है कि क्यों हम ग्रास लेवल पे, जो कि गांव की मैं लेडीज की बात कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम गांव के रहने वाले हैं,
जी,
और गांव में इतना अन्याय हो रहा है। हम बात करते हैं कि जैसे ना अभी पोल्यूशन की बात है, बड़े बड़े पैसे वाले गांव वालों को एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं, उनको खेतों में, उनके खेतों में टायर जलाने की वो फैक्ट्री लगा रहे हैं, और जो बेचारी छोटी फार्मर है लेडी, वो आवाज नहीं उठा सकती, उनको मार दिया जाता है, उनको अंदर करवा दिया जाता है। तो मैं आपसे सिर्फ दरखास्त करूंगा, अगर आप थोड़ा सा भी कुछ अटेंशन, जो अपने जैसे डिप्टी कमिश्नर हैं उनको पता होता है, लेकिन वो आंख मीच लेते हैं। ये मैं अपनी आंखों देखी हाल बता रहा हूँ। मैं एक बार किसी लेडी के साथ गया था एज ए कॉमन मैन बन के, मैं भी कॉमन मैन हूँ, तो मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि अगर आप ऐसा कुछ ग्रुप बन जाएं ताकि हम लोग भी आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे फिर, ताकि अपने देश को, अपने लोगों को ऊपर उठा सकें। धन्यवाद।
कुलदीप जी, किस कंट्री से बोल रहे हैं आप?
अभी तो जी मैं इंग्लैंड में हूँ।
इंग्लैंड से बोल रहे हैं। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर
जी।
ज्वाइनिंग। आपका पॉइंट बहुत अच्छा है। लेट मी आस्क उषा जी, शी कैन रिस्पॉन्ड एंड आई विल आल्सो रिस्पॉन्ड।
Yes, yes. कुलदीप जी, पहले धन्यवाद, आपने जो ये सवाल पूछा एंड एक ये रियलिटी है. But what is important is that, all of us to contribute when government launched a program, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao.
जी.
So this is a very important concept and eye opener for all of us. Why exploitation happening is because the women, particularly in the remote areas of our country, are not educated.
Yes.
This education is very important because it gives you, social empowerment, that, it brings about women's emancipation that results in social empowerment. And when you have the social empowerment, and invariably this social empowerment gets translated into economic empowerment.
Correct.
So they could do, when we talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, what is that?
Ji.
Even help women groups who are making lizard papad and things like that, they're excelling in that. Therefore, when they have that economic, empowerment, whether it is tangible or intangible, because I don't consider economic empowerment just only in terms of the money, hard cash, but it could also result in tangible benefits. But the the point is that how do we ensure education of this? Because I'm very sure, and I have seen it, while organizing courses for self-help groups in the remote areas. I did some courses on that, and I have seen that the know-how of these women actually translate into real show-how in
Yes.
terms of the empowerment. Therefore, what is important is that we have to touch base at the grassroots level, empowering education, making them understand what their rights are. It may not be a formal education. It could be an Anganwadi kind of a,
Yes.
street arrangement, but that is very, very important. When you say that you will join the movement, I will be the first person to lead. So let us get, into a cohesive network and support this idea. Government is, conducive to all these ideas. They want development. They want women empowerment. They want women emancipation. And I think that it's not, a day is not far away. If we raise the voice, but rightly so. Raising the voice doesn't mean agitating. Raising the voice means in a right perspective, then only we can make a difference. And we can free women from the juggernauts of these so-called affluent people.
Very right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Kuldeep ji, get in touch with us and whatever contribution you can make. We have many chapters in the country. We have a chapter in London as well. So we do it globally as well as we keep on doing something in the country as well. And this is an ongoing process. This is a continuous process.
जी, we have to all work hard together, because
आज हम यहाँ पे हैं, अगले 20 साल के बाद भी ये काम चलता रहेगा. This is an
जी, आगे जनरेशन जो हमने उनको भी तो अवेयर करना है अपने बच्चों के लिए, अपने देश के लिए.
की बात करेंगे, कनाडा की बात करेंगे, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की बात करेंगे, स्पेन की बात करेंगे, जर्मनी की बात करेंगे, जो डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज हैं, वहाँ भी इश्यूज है. और अगर आप अफगानिस्तान की बात करें, सऊदी अरबिया की बात करें, सीरिया की बात करें, तो और भी खतरनाक है. बट in developing countries, developed countries also there are issues about.
हाँ जी, वो हमें पता है, वो हम देख चुके हैं. I'm talking जो बेसिक राइट है ना, बेसिक राइट वो नहीं मिल रहे हमारे वहाँ पे. जैसे यूके में बेसिक राइट का कोई, लेकिन वहाँ पे गांव के अंदर. जी
बिल्कुल
आपसे बात होगी.
बिल्कुल. अच्छा, next question is Vinita Sheth is saying, Miss Usha, what's your advice to a woman who is just a graduate? Can she start her life after 59 years? Can you give some tips? Now she is, of course, not able to join, and her number, but she had put a question here. At the age of 50, oh, Vinita said she's here. Vinita, you can ask the question yourself. I am unmuting you, Vinita. Vinita, please go ahead.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Usha ma'am. See, I being a woman, like I I had all the facilities in my life. Like my parents were well off, my husband was well off, but I didn't.
We lost her again.
We lost her connection, yeah.
Yeah, she's asking at 59, what are the tips to start her life?
See, it depends what she wants to do. Whether she wants to work, she wants to earn, she wants to be engaged with some work, or she wants to start something. There are different perspectives. There's no age, as I said. I think at this age, I'm more busy than I was while I was studying. I was working, I was looking after my child, family, and things like that. I have a lot of things. It is what interests you to do, in life. So at this age, is it that you really want to start something of your own? There's no bar of age. You can do get engaged with a startup business, and there are avenues. If you look at, you can get even the funding for starting the startups. If you want to, I don't know what you are a graduate, you said that you can still do a lot of things. I have seen women who have never worked in life, but I was just doing a program. I think Bakshi Saab has seen that, and I was looking at women, particularly from my part of India. Some of them have opened the restaurants, and they're doing so well.
Absolutely.
And kind of their preparations are sought after. And I just asked one of my cousins in Gurgaon, where this Kashmiri woman has got a restaurant. I said, have you ever tasted the food that she serves? So yeah, it's wonderful, and it's authentic Kashmiri actually. So there's what I'm trying to say is that she's also she's crossed, I think, 50s, and she has started this business. So there's age is no bar. If you want to do anything, forget about your 59. Okay, so you think that you are 25, and then you have to start your life from here. So I think you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are already late now. I would not be able to take more questions. I must thank, on behalf of Global Talent and on behalf of #Women Power, a global movement, Usha, Mujoo, Munshi for great contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, for me, it has been tough last 2 days. I didn't want to postpone this show. My mommy in Noida, she expired yesterday. I was at the cremation ground and very close. My mama's wife, my mommy. And just at 4 o'clock, one of my cousin brother, Masi Kaladka, expired in Jammu.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
I was thinking of calling Usha ji and cancel my program. But my women power in my company, India, Varsha, she says, so, sir, you are very strong. Let's continue this. We have to keep things on. Varsha, thank you so much for motivating me to keep this on. So
thank you,
I
sir.
was
Sorry to know about that.
I
Thank
was
you
not
so
in
much.
that mood, but I kept this on. Thanks, Varsha, for making it possible. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we need to keep our life on. We need to keep moving on. And the body of the my cousin brother, he is only 52-year-old, is still in hospital, and tomorrow there's a commission in Jammu. What I am trying to talk about, we have come here in this world to contribute, till the time we are in this world. And let's contribute, let's create a legacy. And this #Women Power global movement is going to be a legacy, whether I am going to be there or not. This will continue. So our responsibility of all of us is to carry on and take this forward. Like the journey of excellence of a women power shared by Usha, Mujoo, Munshi has been really fascinating. Those of you who watch this, or those of you who will be watching it, take advice, see how this women as a child of 21, moving from a small world and making it big world. And today, internationally, people are asking her to do this project and this project and this project and that project, because she believed in herself. Believe in yourself as women power. And you will make a difference around the world. Thank you for joining around whosoever is joining. Ash Rana, it's your midnight in Brisbane. You're still on. I can see, oh my God, oh, I can see Honey. Yeah, Honey, it's already, for you also, it's very late night. You're the Bansi Motu Saab, thanks for joining. Atul Jogani ji, thanks for joining. Vivek, Raina Kampasi, thanks for joining. Motilal ji, thanks for joining. And Sanjay Srivastava, the Vice Chancellor of this Manav Rachina University, I can see him here. Great friend, he has also joined. Usha Mujoo ji, I have no words to express my sincere gratitude to you personally for making to this platform and your commitment to support us in this movement. Hashtag Women Power, a global movement, so that we can benefit many women wherever they are and carry on this story of excellence. Storytelling is the more storytelling we do, Usha ji, the more people will know and learn from this storytelling. Like Vanita got that question at 59, and you rightly said, even the Lijat Papad and all that can be at any, even Matamal restaurant at an age of 50 and making it big. So people like you will make a big difference to the women who are in pain. And let's turn this pain into gain. I could have simply canceled this program, but then that was not professionally right. While I don't know what to say, but we have to carry on with our mission. We have to carry on with our life, irrespective of the fact that we keep losing some of our very near and dear ones. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day in Canada and USA, and good afternoon in US and Africa, and good evening in Asia Pacific. Wish you all the best, and namaskar. Thank you very much, Usha ji, for joining and contributing to this show.
Thank you so much.
We will remain in touch. Varsha will remain in touch for further support wherever we need for this.
Absolutely, no problem.
My office in Noida office is leading this along with other women chapters around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Good luck.